That is an issue I'm dealing with right now, where you feel the need to be strong for everybody and save everybody and fix everybody. I have that problem to this day. She likes to place blame on someone for something, even if that particular thing that happened isn't anyone's fault. Wanting affection and craving affection, but then not knowing how to give it or show it, that is something that I battled with a lot. Even my grandma doesn't, she doesn't do hugs. She doesn't say I love you. My mom literally has this mentality that if I am upset, or if I have any sort of negative emotion, that it was brought on by me. It's in my head. I did it to myself. Hey everyone, it's Bree. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back on another video, and I'm going to be reacting to how mommy issues have impacted you as an adult. I feel like people all the time talk about, like people having daddy issues and how that affects them, but it'd be interesting to see this perspective of people who were impacted by their moms. So yeah, let's check it out.
Some of the ways that mommy issues or toxic behaviors from your mother have impacted.
All right, so the most toxic thing my mother ever taught me was, she taught me how to be a strong black woman instead of teaching me how to be a whole woman. I learned to internalize my pain, to mask my grief, to not take care of my mental health so that I could be strong for everybody else and never give anybody a reason to think I was weak, even though being weak is not a negative. It's totally okay to be weak.
Right.
It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to not be okay. And it's been so much in my life trying.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause it real quick. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say, because I will say my mom kind of has that mentality of being strong and masking her pain. And I was never really like that. I've always been very in tune with my emotions. And if I was sad, I was sad. But I do feel like it caused a lot of back and forth between me and my mom, because she did kind of have that same thing of like, you can't let people know that you're upset. You can't let people know that things bother you. And we were never really able to like agree with that sort of thing, because it was always like, yeah, like, you come across as like, weak or soft or whatever. But yeah, that's interesting.
To live up to the ideal of this strong black woman, when in truth we don't exist. I could go through the whole spiel of, my mom sacrificed everything to have me, to raise me, all of those things like that. But as a mom myself, I don't rely on putting that guilt on my kids, because I made a decision to fuck and have kids and do that. Like, that was my choice, and that came with the job description. And so while I love my mom, I understand that we are both in places where we cannot exist cohesively together, and that's okay. I don't feel guilty about it. It is what it is. But yeah, the biggest thing that fucked me up more than anything was not knowing how to be a whole woman versus having to be a strong woman.
Ways that mommy issues or toxic behaviors from your mother have impacted you as an adult.
Oh my God. Do I have the time? I'm not going to be able to get them all in, but I'll give you a couple. So number one has got to be my memory of trauma and abusive events. Even after years of therapy, there are a lot of times where I struggle to believe that things happened the way that they actually did.
Really?
Because my mother could absolutely run you into the ground one day and then act like absolutely nothing happened the next. And that's in addition to her being a master gaslighter. Number two is my pattern of assigning self-blame even when things aren't my fault. If someone wrongs me and doesn't take responsibility, then I look for all the reasons that I deserve it. That's because when my mother would say or do hurtful things, she would make it about what I did to have possibly caused it. Three is struggling to...
I kind of really did that one a little bit, like because my mom has a tendency to find reasons to... She likes to find blame. She likes to place blame on someone for something, even if that particular thing that happened isn't anyone's fault. And it even happens like with little stuff, right? Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, let's say that, I don't know, let's say that the microwave stopped working. She would say something to the effect of, oh, maybe you stopped using the microwave so much, it wouldn't have stopped working. Even though it probably was like an electrical issue or something that was out of my control, but she feels the need to put blame, and because she's not to blame, she looks for the next closest person to put blame on. And so I can kind of see that.
To set healthy boundaries. No one in my household respected my space, emotionally or otherwise. Four would be
That is an issue I'm dealing with right now. Trying to put boundaries up with my mom. It's been really really hard to do that, because everything always goes back to, it's my house, it's my way. And it's just, she doesn't really respect my boundaries as an adult. My privacy isn't respected. Like, it's like I just don't get any privacy. I literally had to battle her with, like, when I'm in the bath. Like, the bathroom is supposed to be a private space. And it's really annoying when I'm in the bathroom. And it's really annoying when I'm in the bathroom and she's like questioning me, like, what are you doing in the bathroom? Why are you taking so long? What are you doing in there? And it's like, stop. Like, stop. Like, it's just yeah, putting up, struggling to put up boundaries is definitely a big thing that I deal with even now, which is why I'm trying to leave.
struggling to receive affection. I always crave it desperately, but never believe that I'm worthy of receiving it. I guess I just felt like if my mom couldn't give it to me and it was her job, then I don't deserve it from
Wait
anybody
a minute.
else.
Mommy issues.
Okay, sorry I keep pausing, but no, like, that as well. Like, wanting affection and craving affection, but then not knowing how to give it or show it, that is something that I battled with a lot. Even just speaking briefly, on my previous relationship, like, in the very very beginning, it was really hard for me to show affection. And it's like, I wanted it and I wanted to display it, but I just didn't know what that even looked like or how to even do that. Because yeah, like, my family, or my immediate family, isn't very affectionate. Like, yeah, we do the hugs and stuff like that, but like, even my grandma doesn't, she doesn't do hugs, she doesn't say I love you. Me and my mom say I love you, and but we never really been like very affectionate, like in a like family type way. And yeah, like, just, yeah, a lot of that, like, interactions I just never really seen a whole lot. And so I didn't know how to do that. I wasn't even comfortable with giving people hugs for a long time because I just wasn't used to that kind of thing.
Issues or toxic behaviors from your mother have impacted you as an adult?
Oh boy. My mom is an enabler. And it took a while for me to realize this. It actually took like a therapist pointing it out to me and like lots of professionals, seeing our dynamic. Because she was my fucking favorite. She advocated for me at every fucking turn. Anybody who doubted me, she told them they were wrong. She was extremely supportive. However, in this support, there were lots of times in my childhood and beyond that she enabled certain bad behaviors that needed to instead be corrected and redirected. She didn't want me to be anything else except happy. If I wasn't happy, she would immediately want to fix it. She'd be like, oh, let's go get an ice cream, when I was like a little kid.
Fix this and tell me some of the ways that mommy issues or toxic behaviors from your mother.
Oh boy, is my therapist entered the chat. Let's pull from the hat, shall we? Ooh, eating disorder.
Ooh.
Many of us who grew up in the 90s and the 2000s were subjected to intense diet culture. And I know it still exists, but boy, it was bad. And my mother was no exception. She hated her body. And
Really?
it was all projected onto her fat child. I went on my first diet when I was 9 years old. Every time I was bullied for my body, she would say, if you lost weight, that would stop happening. The only time she told me she was proud of me and that I was beautiful was after I lost weight. It wasn't until I was a whole adult in my late 20s
That's sad.
that I realized, actually, that doesn't seem okay. And if you're existing in a household like that right now, you don't owe your parents weight loss. That's your mom's shit.
This and tell me
See, I dealt with that, but from an opposite perspective, not from my mother, but my grandma especially, bro. My grandma is very, very particular on people's weight for some unknown reason. And growing up, I was always, told that I was too skinny. I need to eat. I need to pick up some pounds. And as I've gotten older and as my metabolism has slowed down, I have gained a significant amount of weight compared to how I was a few years ago. And now, according to my grandmother, and just older people in general, it's now I've gained a little bit too much weight and now I need to stop eating so much. And so it's like you can't win. People are always gonna have something to say about your weight. So at the end of the day, you just have to be happy with the weight that you're in if you know that you're healthy and you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing.
that mommy issues or toxic behaviors from your mother have been.
Boy, TikTok took away my 3-minute video feature, so let's see if I can fit this in 60 seconds. My biological mother gave me away to a family the day I was born that would supplement the female daughters that she would have into different parts of the family, where the men had issues with raping and sexually abusing women their own age. So in order to keep them from going to jail and keep it out of the public spotlight, each part of this family got a different girl that my mother gave birth to. Issue number one. Issue number two,
Jesus.
stepmom came in and was instantly threatened by me and did everything that she could possibly do to sever the ties between my father. We can dive into that too. Apparently my dad's first wife attempted to murder me. Let's not forget my grandmother, the one who I was given to.
Wait a minute.
Knew that I was sexually abused. Every time I went to go tell, told me to mind my business and do as I was told. And then would beat the hell out of me and starve me.
Some of the ways that
Okay,
mommy issues
that's-
or toxic behaviors from your mother
that's a
have
lot.
impacted you.
I got you. Every time I would express my feelings or express emotion, I would get gaslighted and make it seem like it was all in my head, and I still struggle with vulnerability today.
This is the one right here. This is the one right here that I still deal with to this day, where it's like my mom literally has this mentality that if I am upset or if I have any sort of negative emotion, that it was brought on by me, it's in my head, I did it to myself. Literally, when I was growing up, if I told my mom that she said something to me that hurt my feelings, she would always say, I didn't hurt your feelings, you allowed your feelings to get hurt. You let your feelings get hurt. I didn't hurt your feelings, you did that to yourself. Like gaslighting at its finest. And so I totally feel this.
Okay, stitch this and tell me some of the ways that mommy issues or toxic.
So for me in my household, my mother issue or mommy issue was that I was considered the soldier at 4 years old. Now, people may look at that like, oh, she just made you strong. No, what she did was create a warrior who went into the world trying to save each and every individual I came across. It took me till 32 years old to realize and heal that I don't have to save anyone. I don't have to save anyone but myself from past trauma, environmental trauma, things of that nature. And I don't even have to save my children because they don't need saving from anything or anybody because they're good. But the soldier, I was her soldier. I mean, front line, defendant, and I was going to save her from her traumas as well.
I resonate with that. Not so much saving my mom. And I honestly don't know if she was the cause of this, but I resonate with that whole warrior savior complex where you feel the need to be strong for everybody and save everybody and fix everybody. I have that problem to this day where I do too much. I do way too much for people. I want to save everybody. I want to make everybody happy. And it's like, and even just to give an example, when I was younger, when my grandfather passed away, my grandfather was literally my entire world. Like, that was like losing a parent. But thinking back, I found myself trying to comfort everybody else meaning like full grown adults that should have been, making sure I was good and comforting me, but I found myself comforting other people and making sure that everybody else was good. And then I kind of would just save my tears for like at night and stuff like that. And so I do resonate with that a little bit.
That's the issue.
Toxic behaviors from your mother have impacted you as an adult.
Emotional incest. If you don't know what that is, I encourage you to look it up.
I don't know if I want to.
My mom struggled with anxiety and depression my whole life, and ever since I can remember, ever since I was little teeny tiny, some of my first memories are making sure that my mom was okay. Being glued to her side, making sure she didn't have a panic attack. She was also hard of hearing, so I always made sure that she heard everything. If I was going through anything, she would just turn it around and be like, well, how do you think this makes me feel? Even when it came down to cutting, I got grounded for cutting. I always had to just ignore my own feelings and make sure that she was okay. So now that I'm an adult, I'm working very hard in therapy to know what I'm feeling.
Ooh, I gotta talk to my therapist
so
about a lot of
much,
stuff.
Sometimes I have no idea what's going on inside me.
Stitch this with an example of how your mommy issues created adult problems.
Whew, that's a tough one. I am the youngest of my mother's 3 children. And of her 3 children, I am the one who has the more palatable personality. In a lot of ways, that means that a lot of her expectations for where my brother and my sister could not meet fell onto me. Which would be one problematic thing if that were the only thing that were problematic about that. But what grew from that was my mother's need to make sure that I was checked about where I stood and what my place was. Therefore, success wasn't really celebrated. It was more of a reminder that I needed to keep doing that. Because if I didn't succeed, she'd be disappointed. I mean, that's a pretty normal thing, right? But on top of that, in order to keep me in my place and keep me striving, I was always reminded that I would never be as smart, maybe more successful, but I'd always fall behind her in some way, shape, or form. Needless to say, things like insecurity, imposter syndrome, feeling like joy is withheld, struggling with abandonment issues and never feeling good enough, those are all things that I struggle with as an adult. I've also developed default pessimism disguised as realism. You may be wondering, why is this on the shop page? Why am I talking about this on my page for my small business? What does this have to do with Chub Doll collars? In actuality, it has a lot to do with Chub Doll collars. My best friends who help me run the shop will tell you that I never had any intention on running this shop past Christmas. We were supposed to close at the end of December, and I was never supposed to continue. And that is because I didn't think I would make it. Yeah, we did fine, but even after opening was successful, I still wanted to quit. Because in my brain, it was only a matter of time before the hype would die down and people would stop purchasing things from me.
Wow.
Default pessimism disguised as realism created a gnarly case of imposter syndrome that almost took this shop down before we could even get started. In addition to that, I don't have the ability to really celebrate my successes fully,
I'll write that down.
which is really frustrating for my friends because when things happen like our commissions sell out in 2 minutes flat, or a product that we had some inkling it would sell completely sells out,
pessimism,
or we have a completely successful launch, there isn't any excitement in my eyes. I can't allow myself the ability to experience that success fully because I'm always wondering when the shoe is going to drop. But you wouldn't know that by the things that I post both here on my cosplay page. Before you guys attack my mom in the comments, we have a much better relationship now that I'm an adult. And she does have the ability to recognize some of my successes, including the shop. I'm Lola, the owner of Chub Doll Collars, and I'm working to be a better person.
Great.
What's the most inappropriate thing?
Okay, yeah, this is something different. But yeah, that was a really good video. I definitely resonated with some of these. And like they all said, it's like it doesn't diminish, like, you know, like I still love my mom, of course. I still appreciate everything that she did for me. But as you get older, you realize that your parents are not perfect, and when you really start to like do the work to like learn more about yourself and to heal from certain things, like you do start to look back and say, this wasn't okay, or, you know, the way that they handled this impacted me in this way. And so I definitely resonated with a few of these toxic things that their moms did. But yeah, if you guys could relate to anything, or if you guys have anything that your mother or your parents did when you were a child that impacted you as an adult? Let me know what those things are in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.